Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Lollipop and this video is going to be my thoughts and opinions on some of Trek's 2021 hybrid bikes. So essentially this is another test drives video, but it's going to be a little bit different from some of my other ones in the sense that one, I fixed my camera angle finally, so the videos actually look pretty good, and two, I rode most of these bikes back to back to give a better comparison of how they ride, and I have built all of the bikes in this video several times, more than 5 times each, so I kind of already know how they ride and how they compare to one another, so I was able to give some of my thoughts and opinions a lot better. So ultimately, I hope this video helps you figure out which one of these bikes is good for your riding style, or which one is not as good, and why certain bikes are priced a bit higher, or if you just want to see me test ride some hybrid bikes, that's totally fine too. But with that stuff out of the way, I'm going to introduce all the bikes right now. So I first rode the 2021 Trek FX2. I built a ton of FX bikes at my job at Trek, so I wanted to finally record myself riding on some of those. This one is a size small in the matte Neaster black color. And then right after that bike, I test rode the Trek FX3 in the gloss Neaster black color, also in a size small, and I talked about the upgrades and differences from the FX2 and which bike I prefer more when you take the prices into account. And then we have the Verve 3. Now, I've already test ridden the Verve 2 in my first test rides video, so check that one out if you want to see that or a bunch of other 2021 Trek bikes. But I did talk about the Verve 3 in this video and compared that test ride to the FX, Dual Sport, and Verve 2. And then lastly, we have an exciting test ride on an electric bike, which was the Allant Plus 7S, which is a pretty fast, basically hybrid commuter or road bike from Trek. So let's get into it, starting with the FX2. All right, everyone, today I'm going to be test riding the Trek FX2 in this nice matte Neaster black color. This is a size small, and this is going to be my first FX test ride on the channel, but I have built plenty of FX2s and FX3s and FX1s, a lot of the FX bikes. I built a lot of them. We get a lot of them here in the store in Trek because they're pretty nice hybrid fitness bikes. They're definitely more focused on speed over comfortability or trail riding purposes as compared to the other two hybrid lines that Trek has, the Dual Sport and the Verve. The Verve is the more comfortable one. The Dual Sport is the more closer to mountain biking one. It has a suspension fork to just make it more capable on the trails. And then we have the FX bikes, which are closer to road bikes in the sense that their geometry is closer to a road bike. They have thinner tires and they're thus more focused on speed. They're lighter in weight. So if you basically just want a road bike that's a little bit more capable and has flat bars rather than drop bars, get an FX. This one in specific, I'm going to be riding this one and an FX3 back to back to really highlight some of those differences between the models. This one's $650 US, so similar price to the Marlin 6 mountain bike. And it's a pretty nice bike. It has alpha gold aluminum, so it's light in weight and it's fast. And it's definitely, like, I can tell riding this one compared to the Dual Sport and Verve, this one definitely has slightly more aggressive seating position and it's definitely faster. It's still not uncomfortable by any means. The Dual Sport and Verves are a bit more comfortable than this bike just because of their wider tires, the suspension fork on the Dual Sport model. It's just a little bit nicer ride on those ones, and they can go over more bumpy terrain without kind of knocking you out of your seat or having an uncomfortable ride. But this one, like, the seat on this one is really comfortable. It still has a nice upright seating position and everything. The only thing I don't really like about the FX2 is that it is a lower part spec than I would prefer. I feel like for most people, it's like commuting and stuff like that, it's the perfect bike. But in my opinion, these brakes, they are Tektro brakes, which I have on my Marlin 5 as well. But these ones are flat mount discs, so they're a bit less reliable. They make a little bit more brake noise. You might be able to hear it on camera. I just don't really like them as much. The FX3 upgrades to Shimano, so I'll talk about that when I'm riding that bike. And then this one has a kind of Shimano, kind of a mixed drivetrain, Shimano Acera, as well as a Pro wheel crankset with 3 chain rings in the front. So it's not like anything too special or anything, but it definitely does get the job done. as a lightweight bike. It still has the same frame as most of the FX models. This one is aluminum. They do have some carbon frames, you know, upper in the price range, but this one is definitely not bad. It's definitely a fast bike. A lot of people really like it. I think it's Trek's best-selling bike, just like the lineup in general for FXs. So it's definitely really nice, but I'm gonna kind of try to compare it to the FX3 and explain why I like that one better than this one. All right, now here is the FX3. Funnily enough, I just built this one and it's in the same exact size as the FX2 and the same color as well. So the same matte Neaster black, except this one has black Trek accents, which looks a lot nicer, a lot sleeker. Right off the bat, you can tell when you're building this bike how much better it is than the FX2. I mean, considering the price of it, it is $850, so similar price to that Marlin 7, but this one just shifts a lot better, a lot smoother, has a lot higher quality components in general. The brakes are much better, they're a lot smoother, they don't make any noise, and they have better stopping power. They are from Shimano as well. The drivetrain is full Shimano crankset with a 2 chainring piece. It's just overall really nice. It still has the same, you know, quality frame, the Alpha Gold aluminum. It's lightweight, it's fast, similar riding position and everything. So, you know, if you get on that bike versus this one, you might have some initial trouble, especially if it's the same color and everything, trying to decipher whether or not it's an FX3 or an FX2. But as soon as you use those brakes, as soon as you shift through the drivetrain, you can immediately tell that this bike is something that is a lot more expensive. And you know, considering that price point of $850, it better be good, because that is a lot of money to pay for a bike. I'm not gonna sit here and say like, no, it's still an entry-level bike or something. No, it's an FX3. There's an FX1 and FX2. This is the third one, so it's pretty high up there. And then you start moving into the carbon models. So before you get to those, this one's pretty nice. This is one of the best aluminum FX models you can buy. It's still really fast. It's going to be reliable for a long time. I can already tell riding these bikes. A lot of people love these bikes, and I actually love building them because they're just so easy, because the components on them are really nice, well made, so you don't really have any trouble having to diagnose errors right off the bat when you're building these bikes. They're really nice. So if I were to buy a hybrid bike and I was looking into the FXs, the FX3 would probably be my choice out of the aluminum models. And then I haven't seen an FX4 yet, so I can't say too much about that, but the FX Sport Carbon 4, the blue one or the silver one, those are some really nice bikes. Would probably get one of those if I had to choose, but overall, like, this is a close second to those high-end carbon models that are much more expensive. I think they're like more than $1,500, so for 850 bucks, for like less than, for, you know, around half the price of the carbon model, this is a lot of bike for that money. And I would definitely suggest getting this one if you are looking into FXs for sure. Try to get some speed on this one. Yeah, drivetrain just shifts so smooth, really fast and everything. There are like no problems with this bike that I've ever noticed, and I've built about 20 of these and all of them have been a breeze. So that's just why I personally like this FX3 a lot more than the other FXs. And I just wanted to share that with you guys so you guys know as well what I'm thinking. But yeah, there's another FX for you guys. All right, so since I test rode the FX2 and FX3 in a size small, I thought it would be fitting to test ride a Verve 3 in a size small as well. So this is one I just built up. Let me just put it off to the side real quick while I talk about it. I have test ridden the Verve 2 already, so I'll kind of compare it to that one. This one's a bit more expensive, similar to the FX3 for the FX lineup, I guess. But the Verves are definitely more comfortable than the FXs in terms of just having a more upright riding position and just being more comfortable in general, having wider tires. So they're a bit heavier as compared with an FX bike, which is, you know, closer to a road bike. But this one is definitely really nice, has similar components to the FX. Pretty nice drivetrain, everything works well, everything's smooth, as you should expect from this type of bike. I mean, there's pretty much nothing I can complain about on this bike, thankfully. The brakes are really good. They're from Shimano as well. So overall, if you want a Verve of any sort, this is definitely the one to go for. This is definitely more of the commuter bike, kind of, you know, just like well-built, reliable trek bike for commuting purposes or just relaxed riding, getting to places but not really being in a rush to get anywhere. But at the same time, if you are wanting to go fast, you do have a lot of gears and a pretty hard gear to really get some pedaling power down and try to move on this bike. But it's not really meant for that. It's not really meant to go super fast or anything. But with that said, you know, it's not like slow in the sense that this bike is still pretty lightweight. It's made from Trek's Alpha Gold aluminum, just like the Dual Sports and FXs. So it has some nice lightweight aluminum construction and has 700 by 40C tires. This one in specific is the metallic gunmetal color, and it costs $820 US. So definitely a bit pricey, to be honest. Similar price to the Marlin 7, which is a nice mountain bike. So if you're looking to get a nice bike for commuting, this is the highest model in the Verve series. There's no Verve 4 or anything. This is the Verve 3. So it's the highest end model. It's really reliable, really smooth. Everything works perfectly. If you want a nice, reliable commuter bike, this is the one to get for sure, because it definitely has some nicer parts than the Verve 2. Today I am test riding the Allant Plus 7. It's an electric, basically commuter bike, or just sport road bike, kind of thick tires actually, so more of a hybrid in that sense. It comes in a nice nautical navy color like on the Marlin 7, but this one's gloss instead of matte. Has a kickstand and fenders and a rack and front and rear lights, so basically a lot of stuff to make a good equipped bike for city riding and things like that. I have it off right now, off the electric mode. It is pretty heavy, just like the Powerfly I test rode before. Now this bike does only have one chainring in the front and then 9 gears in the back, so it's a 1x9 drivetrain, which I think is fine for commuting and what this bike is used for. Alright, let's check out how the eco mode works. Pretty much the same modes that are on the rail mountain bikes. Oh yeah, this is pretty nice. And it tells you the miles per hour. I don't know if you can see it on the camera right now, but let me kick it up to touring mode. Whew. This bike does top out at 20 miles per hour, which is plenty. If you're for what this bike is intended for. Let's go turbo. That is insane. Wow. I honestly can't believe how fast this is. Now this bike is a bit pricey at $3,500, but then again, all electric bikes are pretty expensive. This one's not intended for mountain biking, but it does have a pretty nice suspension fork on there just for some added comfort and going over rough city roads like these. So honestly, I'm kind of surprised by this bike, because I originally thought when I was building it that I wouldn't really like it that much, but these electric modes are very nice and work really well, so it's definitely a good bike so far. But those are all my test rides and opinions. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, please leave a like and subscribe if you did, and leave any comments or suggestions in the comment section below. So thank you so much for watching, and remember to keep biking.